Sadrack checking in. Hit the like button. Question, wholesome one. Outside of Texas A&M, what is the most anticipated game this upcoming season?
Tallahassee. During homecoming at Hard Rock Stadium, and Coach Cristobal's first time playing Tallahassee since he was a GA in the late 90s, early 2000s.
My different spin on it would be, of course, the Florida State game is the rivalry game for Miami, and that's just different when you talk USC, UCLA, Auburn, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Florida State, Miami. That's just in a different category. But since Miami does not play Clemson every year, and that's only a 1 out of every 6 years game in the ACC. Now they got changed because of the COVID season, and they played all ACC. But if you're not familiar with the ACC scheduling format, Miami's Florida State rival cross division, but the other game rotates. So it's 6 teams. So they only play Clemson, for example, once out of every 6 years. And they've got Clemson coming up this year. And just them being the kings of the conference and in Miami wanting to get there, I'm really curious to watch that one.
Yeah, I for one, I really don't want to go there. That's a good day to day. I don't want to turn into that guy. But man, that loss. I'm thankful for it, because if we would have won that game, then our head coach would still be Manny Diaz. I wholeheartedly believe that. I wholeheartedly believe if we win that game, our head coach's name is Diaz. But because we lost, there was no one for him to turn to. We got all the changes necessary, all the investments necessary to hopefully help take this program to a different level. All right. But besides my own personal vendetta with that horrible school, I think one of the most important games is going to have to be North Carolina also. On our side, they have been a thorn in our behind, like Virginia. It's just been one of those weird, like Virginia and North Carolina, Georgia Tech for also. Those 3 teams always have played the University of Miami hard since the minute we joined the conference. UNC, of course, because of the connection of Butch Davis, who helped take their program to a really high stratosphere also. So it felt like a nice pseudo rivalry, because him and his coaches from Miami got together up in Chapel Hill and, were beating our heads in sometimes when we didn't have the best teams. Okay. That Georgia Tech triple option, the most successful Miami Hurricanes coach against Georgia Tech was Al Golden, because of the Mark Diafano 3-4. It was a lot harder to read the 3-4 if you have a 4-eye and a stand-up 9 technique standing outside. So it really ruined the read option, because they didn't, they would just keep giving a dive. And it's a nose there with a mic slamming right behind them. So, they got us to 2014, but I think I truly believe Al Golden was like 4-1 against Georgia Tech, and sometimes was like blowing them out against Georgia Tech. So we got a lot to work on as far as highly anticipated. I'll tell you this, to answer your question. I'm super excited for the point where I don't have to worry about the Dukes, the Virginias, and down Virginia Techs. Where I can say, you know what, this is one of those games where we can really lean on our elite offensive line and just blow them off the ball. I haven't been able to say that ever. So I'm waiting on that day to be able to say that.
Well, it's a good point about North Carolina, because they've recruited better than anyone in the division, not named Miami. And this is why we got to play the games and see how the season plays out, because when we were sitting here this time last year, North Carolina had one of the best quarterbacks in the country in Sam Howell. They had playmakers all over the place. They were coming off a Orange Bowl season, and they looked to be the main barrier in Miami's path. And Miami was coming off 8-3, and those were two that and they still are the 2 best teams in the division. But so we thought, well, they're going to beat everyone, and then when they play, that's going to be the division decider. No, it wasn't. They both lost a bunch of games to a bunch of other teams, and it turned out to be a big mishmash. And of course, Pitt won the division. Again, for the third straight year, the division winner lost to Miami. So Miami shows that they are better than the division winner when they play them, but they lose other games and they don't win the division.
And, for somebody on the outside looking in, that's like laughable. But for those of us in it, it's heartbreaking because it's like every time we got on the field with the teams. I mean, Mark, you look at last year when this team took it personal, they went out there and played their asses off, excluding Alabama. Obviously, Alabama's Alabama. So once they got out there and realized, oh crap, this ain't, it got bad real fast. But NC State was a better team on paper than us. I was very worried going into that game. I picked us to lose. Pittsburgh, I thought we were going to beat them. We did. So when we got on the same field and we took it personal, we're like, you know what? We're going to prove you all wrong. Besides Bama, we showed up and did our thing. But when we just looked at it like, whatever, you're down 17-0 to Tallahassee and have to make this storming comeback to beat a team that ain't going to a bowl game, So it's about the focus, and that's why I'm really hoping Coach Cristobal and this new staff that he puts together is just really going to get them to focus. Because I think that's what we have been missing. Yeah, we're not the most talented team. I'm not arguing that, but I'm saying as far as being this is going to be a tough out, well coached, well disciplined Miami Hurricanes team. I haven't been able to say that since maybe 2016, 17, Mark Richt's first 2 years, because he was kind of a no-nonsense type of coach. And you saw the way our players went out there and played in certain instances. They were very focused and determined to get the job, the objective done. And that's what we need back.
September 17th at Texas A&M, boy. That's going to tell us a lot.
You think so?
Yeah, I think that's going to tell us a lot.
I don't know how to feel about that one, Mark. I think that again, North Carolina, Georgia Tech, Virginia, and Clemson. Those are the 4 games that I'm going to be real. Because Tallahassee, you're going to get turned up for. Texas A&M, you're going to have an emotional kind of thing for. But Clemson has our number. Clemson has us psychologically beat, if you ask me. Those other teams are riled off. Virginia beat us. Late field goal miss, but they still beat us. North Carolina, again, psychologically has us beat. So what about the focus level of our guys? And like I said, one thing you're right to have, what you're saying, tell us a lot. And I get where you're coming from, because anytime Miami lined up against an elite or a pretty good team before, they're getting blown out. So, of course, if you look up and it's 28-7 at half, like you said, it tells us a lot. And if you look up and it's 28-21 and Miami's fighting and they're swinging and it's toe-to-toe, again, it tells us a lot. So you're not wrong at all.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue it to be one of the more important games, because it's not a conference game. So it's still important, but it's not a conference game. So Miami could lose. Now, they're not going to, and you don't want to do this, but they could go 0-4 outside the conference and still win the conference.
Right.
It doesn't count toward the conference, but now when this team's gunning for playoff position, which might be this year, then it is important.
Right. Absolutely.